Okay, video 4 in chapter 6, pick it up on page 114 at the top of the page. Thanking those who work for you can be a huge morale boost. When we thank people for their work, we acknowledge that we could not do our work without them. We recognize their contributions to the larger whole. By thanking others, we thank God for them. By thanking others, we put into practice gratitude. By thanking others, we humbly acknowledge that our work is a way of serving others through employment, livelihood, and purpose. Lastly, we can practice gratitude and celebrate God's goodness to us by giving credit to others for how they have helped a larger task succeed. There are times when credit is given to leaders for a task or project success when the leaders actually did very little or had small piece in a much larger endeavor. A store receives the most profitable award. A school receives increased test scores. A sports team wins a big competition. A company completely refurbishes a downtown area, or a department streamlines processes to make the company more productive. These are all instances where credit could be assigned to the wrong people, depending on the culture of the organization. If and when this happens to us, as the store manager, the principal, the coach, and the CEO, it is important to give credit to those who put in the long hours and hard work. Sometimes we may be able to do this publicly. At other times, the best we can do is privately recognize those who contribute and thank them for their contribution. None of us succeed on our own. By giving thanks, we give credit where credit is due. Communicating ways we are grateful to others through notes of thanks, prayers of thanksgiving, or regular feedback can become an antidote to pride. While publicly attributing a team's success or completion of a project to God may not be possible in some work settings, we believe expressing gratitude and celebrating others are deeply spiritual practices that result in physical and mental health benefits, as well as shape work culture in profound ways. Stories of gratitude and celebration. Danica's story. Danica is a high school student who decided to be intentional about practicing gratitude in her life. She began to recognize that she was quick to notice and reflect on what was not going well, but less likely to notice the positive elements of her life. Then a Christian teacher encouraged her to pay attention to the ways God may be speaking to her in everyday experiences. She then began looking for the positives, committing to keeping a gratitude journal each night. Some days it was hard to find at least one thing for which she was grateful or that had made her happy. Someone saying hi to her between classes made the list one day. Another day, it was going out to see a movie with friends. As she practiced gratitude, Danica decided she did not want to list the same thing twice. This expanded both the effort required to find something for which to be thankful, as well as her repertoire of gratitude. Events she had previously glossed over when she began the practice became occurrences to write down. For as her gratitude list grew, so did her ability to see the goodness of God around her. Little by little, she began seeing a change in her attitude. She began to look for what she could write down at the end of the day. Sometimes she would be in the middle of an activity and have the sudden thought that this would be a great item to write down in her gratitude journal. What Danica experienced in this practice was the expansive nature of gratitude to God. When we begin paying attention to the goodness of God all around us, it multiplies. As we see one thing for which to be grateful, we then wonder why we had been so upset the day before, or if the event could be turned over and examined in a different light, the light of God's goodness. When we do this, our vision changes and we begin to see God's presence and activity in ways our pessimistic or cynical vision did not allow. Even as a high school student, Danica was able to find the power of God to bring light to those days when it seemed hard to find things for which to be grateful. Ross's story. When Ross moved into the leadership position in his organization, he realized that there were very few levers he could utilize to reward people for their work. He did not have much control over the compensation, benefits, or promotion opportunities of his employees. But Ross realized that he could control how he interacted with those he led, and that these interactions could have a significant impact on the culture of his unit. He began to look for and acknowledge the efforts that others were making, regularly extending his thanks to them and their contributions to the organization's mission. Ross found that recognizing his fellow employees through the act of gratitude highlighted the value of each person's contributions and began an antidote to resentment and pettiness. Saying thank you surfaced each member's giftedness and promoted a culture of celebration. Simply put, achieving the organization's mission required the good work of others, and sharing a heartfelt thank you to those who were engaged in this work communicated his love, respect, and gratitude for them. Ross became known as a boss who recognized others, and this created a strong sense of affirmation and belonging within his division. The practice of gratitude also became a discipline for Ross. As he expressed his thanks, he was reminded of the ways that he was dependent on others. Saying thank you impressed upon him that there were many tasks he did not do alone. Regularly recognizing the contributions of others reinforced in his own understanding of how much had been given to him. Each time he expressed his gratitude to his employees, it became a reminder of God's goodness and love to him. Al's story. Al worked for many years leading the internal research and development group at an airplane manufacturing corporation. His group contributed services to a number of other divisions in the company, providing tools to help design and build airplanes. Al wanted to recognize the people in his group for their hard work and looked for ways to do that. They considered having a celebratory party at an expensive resort where individuals' contributions could be publicly acknowledged and cheered, similar to the way the sales group acknowledged its best salespeople. But the researchers and the R&D did not seem to be motivated by this type of celebration. Instead, these employees seemed to find gratification in knowing that their work was appreciated by the larger company and that they made a difference in the development of the airplanes. Instead of an annual party, Al decided to acknowledge key accomplishments of the employees in his group by recognizing how their particular work had an impact on something bigger. A poster of a new airplane was posted in the coffee room with the names of the people and the work they did highlighted on the airplane. Oh, I love that. Dave had developed the geometry, allowing the design of the fairing between the wing and the body. Jim had contributed to the propulsion system. Evan's work in flight path optimization was an important part of the success of the airplane, so her work was placed near the avionics. The celebration of the work of the employees in the R&D group became an ongoing theme, rather than a one-time event. Anyone walking through the building would see pictures of examples of the work of the individuals in the group. This recognition and celebration became a big part of why people love to work in the group. Okay, we have one more section. I'll be back in the next video.